I'd like to pray us into our topic tonight. I'm going to talk really fast because I grew up in New Jersey and I'm from Philly and we all talk really fast. Plus I want to get a lot of beautiful rich content to you tonight and carve out time for us to chat and have a conversation after that, okay? Okay. Let's pray in first because this is a beautiful topic tonight. Because it's life and love and you and me, and we can actualize this stuff we're going to talk about tonight right now to our left and right and before us and behind us. When you walk out of the Newman Center, you can start living out what we're going to talk about tonight. So let's pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Gracious God, we praise and thank you for this beautiful day, for life and for breath, for the gift of each other, for the gift of good food. We praise you for this sanctuary, this place where we can meet, form friendships and fellowship, and we can eat and drink and be merry and grow in our faith. We ask your blessing, Lord, tonight on our conversation. May it awaken our hearts to the gifts that surround us. We pray in a special way for the intercession of St. John Paul the Great and Our Lady, Star of the Sea, as we dedicate and consecrate this conversation tonight to her. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now at the hour of our death. Amen. With the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, I love to present. I've been doing this for many years now. I come from an art background. I've been moved by movies, music, creation. So I'm going to do a lot up on the wall there, kind of a mosaic of art, random commercials, video, quotes. So make sure you can see clearly up there. But anything that strikes a chord in your heart tonight, I'll try to make a PDF file out of everything I present, the artworks and the quotes and the stuff like that, and I'll send it to Father Matt, and it can be yours for just $19.95. JK, it's free. Okay. So big topic tonight, everybody. And we're all included because we're all human. Right? Any non-humans, I'm sorry, you're not welcome tonight. This is for humans to understand and rediscover the gift of love and life. These are crazy days. These are challenging days. I don't just mean like in the church. I mean culturally, cosmically, emotionally. Like it's stress. We're stressed. And I think we're floating further and further away from humanity. I'm talking like old school, sitting on a front porch drinking lemonade, like talking about the weather, looking people in the eye, having a conversation. Remember those days? I don't know if you guys remember those days. But we're slipping away. How do you feel right now? I'm just going to ask for one word. When you think about your place in the world, maybe it's at university right now, but just even as an American, culturally, maybe it's in family life, just one word. How are you feeling? When you spend a day looking at news feeds on Twitter or Facebook or something, or how do you feel in one word? Stress, is somebody say? Concerned. Upset. What do you feel? Just feel. Disconnected. Needed?
Yes.
Cool. Good one. Okay. Well then, if we can figure this out, we can bring the need. Right? Because I think that when we have all those feelings of stress, of being upset, of being concerned, the answer isn't in like a hashtag campaign, right? Those aren't really the most effective things. But like a real handshake or a conversation with somebody or a coffee in real FaceTime. FaceTime's cool. I love dealing with my kids when I'm away, but real FaceTime trumps FaceTime. Right? So like we need like a return to flesh and blood and air and soil and life conversation. So we want to talk about that tonight. So I work at this institute for the last 14 years or so, traveling around the country, around the world, teaching the theology of the body, which is all about the art of being human. Who's familiar with theology of the body? Raise your hands. Okay, who like could say one sentence about what theology of the body is? Raise your hands. You're kind of at like a kindergarten level. Like I can say what it is in one sentence. Oh my gosh. Okay, Josh, good. Is it brand new for everybody? The theology of the body, this phrase. Who's heard it with their hand before? Who's heard the phrase theology of the body? Okay, no one feels confident to say what it is? You guys are Josh. Don't face Josh. Okay, what is the theology of the body in one word? Go ahead.
Relationship?
Yes, relationship. Awesome. Another word. Love it is. Yes. You're going to say love is stolen from her. Love. Relationship. What else? The Trinity somehow inscribed in our family. This is coming from Josh, a new father and a husband. The Trinity. Where's Kate? Exhibit A. Where's Kate right now? Is Kate in the room? Oh, anyway, there's a little human Trinity. Josh, Kate, and I forgot your name. Elizabeth. Somehow the Trinity is inscribed in their family. 3 persons, 1 family. Kate, Josh, and David's name I forgot already. Elizabeth. Gosh, it's terrible. So yeah, theology body is in there. It's a rich teaching. Today I'm not going to go in depth into the structure of the teaching itself. I'm going to give you the 30,000-foot view of theology of the body. We're talking about the art of being human. And hopefully after this you're going to want to go deeper. And Father Matt and I can talk about how to do that in studying the theology of the body. So essentially it was a teaching brought out by St. John Paul the Great. He died when you were like 7. I was reflecting on this today. I'm old. He was my man. But for you guys, he was like, he was already dead. But he's an incredible saint. I had the unbelievable grace of meeting him in the year 2000. Look at me with no gray hair whatsoever. Those were the days. I was already wrecked by St. John Paul II. He was a charismatic figure. He was an avid skier, hiker, outdoorsman, poet, playwright. He was phenomenal, philosopher, theologian. And I was already rocked by him in the 80s when I grew up, the 80s from whence all good things come. You know you listen to 80s music even though you were born like 20 years later. Okay, so I met him in the year 2000 at a jubilee in Rome for missionaries. I was doing mission work, and I got this unbelievable face-to-face encounter with the Pope. Look, I'm kneeling and I'm still like taller almost than the experience. So I got chosen to be one of 12 people that were sort of apostolic representatives to go up before him and 80,000 people in St. Peter's Square. The guy was like, cheeseburger smile the whole time. What's happening? Everybody had cool outfits. They were from India, Nigeria, Poland, Ireland. I had like LL Bean slacks. What does an American wear like too? But it was incredible. So there I am. Pick me out. But we went right into the Pope, and he gave us this mission cross made by missionary sisters out of like burlap. It's real simple. And he said, "Bring Jesus back to your country." No pressure. Okay. So absolutely wrecked for life. And woe to me if I don't preach the gospel, especially through the lens of this incredible Pope, St. John Paul the Great. Everything he ever wrote, in particular the theology of the body. So it's my lowest star of my life. Interestingly, that year in the year 2000, I came back to the States, and I was doing mission education around the world. I was going to different third world countries, and I'm like, mission is literally 5 feet away from me. So in Philly, there's a soup kitchen called St. Francis Inn. It's literally a mile from the Liberty Bell is abject poverty, the likes of which I saw in Haiti is a mile and a half from the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia. So I went to this local soup kitchen, and over a dumpster, throwing out the garbage, I met my future wife. True story. It was romantic. And aromatic. It was over the dumpster. So, the first few months was really Rebecca and I. She was a Franciscan missionary after college, so she served 2 years working with drug dealers, prostitutes, families out of luck, homeless people, serving them meals at the soup kitchen. So that's why we're wearing aprons. I would, go help the poor. And also, who is this young Irish lass? It's a 2-for-1 special. Lo and behold, 3 years later, notice I still don't have gray hair. It's coming. 4 good reasons why. 2003. Terrible joke, Josh. You'll get that as Elizabeth. But early on, praise God, our foundation was faith. Right? We met at a soup kitchen. We got to know each other at a young adult Bible Bible study that went on for a couple of years. It was amazing. I'm just so pleased to be here tonight to look at all of you. Elizabeth's pleased too. Look at that little screen. That you're all here because you have a foundation already. You can look at each other. Not that you're here to, scoop everybody out. Are you? But the fact remains that you're in a place where you already have so much done. You're like, here's somebody who's sincere about their faith. They want to go deeper. They want to be a better person. That's awesome. Okay. For good reasons. The first 5 years of our marriage, we're a fully adopted family, as you might be able to glean from the images. The first 5 years of our marriage were a cross. We have the cross of infertility, Rebecca and I. So it was dark, but I think it microwaved the maturity of our marriage those 5 years through suffering. Suffering does that. But then suddenly God opened the door, and every 2 years we got these phone calls to adopt a new life. We're like, yes. Yes again. Heck yes. Okay then. And now we're like, can we put you on hold for a second and discuss? It's awesome, but we are overwhelmed by them. They are Claire, who's just turned 8, Sheila, exuberantly happy, who's 5, Kagan Matthew with a sweet fro. He is 2, but he acts like he's 32. And here's our Seth, who just turned 10 yesterday. Yeah. He was born on September 5th, which is the first day John Paul II started teaching theology of the body in 1979. Nerdy Catholic fact, but I'm throwing it out there. So, we're talking about the art of life, learning how to live and how to love. And this literally is the template that God has designed for us. We all come from a family. P.S. We all come from dysfunctional families. Does anybody come from a perfect family? Raise your hand. Liars! Right? We are all dysfunctional. But this is the template in which we learn how to love. This is where we first learn the art of being human. Pope Benedict once said that the blueprints of humanity are passed on to the family. Reflect on that. Sometimes the blueprints are like coffee spilled all over them, or somebody scribbled a crayon on it, they're ripped. Okay, stuff happens. My parents were divorced when I was 15 years old. That wound never heals. So there's always something a little off. But the design is divine. God put something in the family. He put some opportunity in the human family for us to become unselfish. To get out of our own heads. And that's what we want to reflect on tonight. Let's go back to the school of, that was a weird faith. Anyways, let's go back to the origins. Where does love, where does it come from? This is one of the best definitions of love. And I'm going to throw some serious stuff at you tonight, some silly stuff. But I really want you to take this to heart. Think about this. Like, your whole life is a school of love. Your family, for whatever it looks like, is a school of love. Your friendships can be a school of love. Check out this quote from Pope Benedict. I think it's one of the best definitions of love I've ever read. Love is the very process of passing over, of transformation, of stepping outside the limitations of fallen humanity into an infinite otherness. I'm going to leave that up for a second. Pause and think about that quote. Plunge real deep into your own thoughts right now, your own heart. Do you want this? Do you want transformation? Do you want to step outside the limitations of your fallen humanity? Your own weakness, your own sin, your past, the junk you've been struggling with. We all have it, right? We have this baggage from life. Sometimes we've done stupid things. Sometimes I go to confession, it's like you're going to the bar. The usual, Father. 3 Our Fathers and 3 Hail Marys. See you next week. But I don't want to stay there. I want to get out of it. I want to transcend, transform. Amen? I want to break free into an infinite otherness. Well, God's given us opportunities. Opportunities abound right here, right now, to get out of our own heads. It's going to take a leap. Like your homily tonight, right? The Batman reference. Sweet. But like this jumping outside, or we just stay locked in. Flicking through our news feeds, and nothing new ever happens. This is Sheila. Dang, she's cute. I miss her already. It's only been 14 hours. Okay, so Sheila is offering me something. We're doing something at a retreat center, playing in the field, and I just love that image of Sheila. This is like the Christ child. God's always like, I will something for you. I will something for you to help you become human, to help you realize the gifts that surround you, to wake you up a little bit. And we can't like miss them. It's just a little daisy, right? There's a great quote from the Jewish rapper Matisyahu. Jewish rapper Matisyahu. Anybody know him? He shaved the beard. I don't know why. Anyway, Matisyahu, Jewish rapper. I see the Most High in cracks you walk by. I see the Most High in cracks you walk by. We've got to be awake and alert to everything that surrounds us. God is trying to bombard our senses in and through the body all the time. We'll see, smell, taste, touch. Anybody go to adoration today? I'm not going to judge if you don't raise your hand. Awesome. Didn't it smell awesome? The incense, the wax of the candles. There's a presence there. God is constantly trying to get our hearts through our senses. This is a Louis Vuitton commercial for leather goods. Stay with me. Okay, this is a commercial, like, when you learn theology of the body, you're just wrecked, like everything around you bombards you, including like Louis Vuitton commercials. Just watch this, because my wife and I were sitting on the couch like a few years ago, and this came on, like, what in the world? Okay, check it out. There should be sound. I'm so disappointed there's no sound. I can't move on, Father. I'm stopping right now. I'm not sure how to fix it. No one's moving at all. Okay. Try it again?
Yeah.
I don't know how you fix it. So deeply existential questions were just asked that every one of us can enter into right now. John Paul II, this is Cardinal, he said this 1 month before he became the Pope, Pope John Paul II. 1 month before he said this. We must wonder. We must create a climate of wonder. This task is closest to the family. That's where it's kind of born. That's where we kind of wake up for the first time. And we learn green and red and blue. And this is soft, and this is sticky. And this is hot, and this is cold. Like we enter into life. My 2-year-old Kagan right now, everything's like, wow. Plastic cup, wow. He eats it. Like he'll eat this. He would eat this. But it's amazing. Everything's amazing. Everything is wonderful. What goes on? Wonder is needed so that beauty might enter into human life, society, and the nation. We need to marvel at everything that is found in man. Can I get an amen? Amen. It's amazing. Like, your eye is amazing. The fact that you're hearing my words and translating them right now is the bones of your ear are vibrating. It's like happening in a nanosecond. You're comprehending things. You're sitting in chairs. You're aware of your surroundings. You can go back and forth in your mind. You can go back to memories, rich pools of experience. You're amazing. You should have wonder at everything that's found in man. This is a great picture of John Paul, one of his hikes. He used to go out into the wild with young people when he was a campus minister. He was like the Father Mike Schmitz of his day. Or the Father. I should have said Father first. But he would take it into the wild, kayaking, mountain climbing, and he would ponder these rich existential questions. One of the things we'll talk about tonight is unlocking the longing. Because life is a journey. Life is amazing. And every one of us has an ache. If we can talk about, what does the theology of the body mean? You are an embodied thirst. You are a walking ache. That's what a human being is. You're a thirst. And you're never satisfied. Are you? Don't answer that. We always want more, right? I want more, and I don't want it to go away. And I want it to increase. I want more. I want the infinite. So we're thirsty. We have to unlock the longing. Not be afraid of it. It's an infinite ache, and this is the trick. We're going to be tempted to grasp at false infinities. As Pope Benedict XVI would say. False infinities. We can all name a whole bunch of false infinites we try to shove into the infinite ache. But we have to expose the ache before God and see where it's ultimately leading. So I want you to ask yourselves, tonight, maybe when you're going to pray before bed or taking a walk under the stars, what moves me? What has always moved me? How has God come to me in and through my senses? How has He encountered me? How have I encountered Him in this body? Because you are your body. And the way to your heart is through your senses. We don't think about this enough. We don't think about our affective life enough. Sometimes we make our faith too intellectual, disembodied. But the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. So let me just crack open the little window here to my own heart. This is snaps, thank you. When I literally was the perfect age when Star Wars came out. It was like 1977 or so. I was like, 8 or 9. And I was like, what is going on? I want to fight the Empire too. I want to fly through the stars. When I go back and pray and think about, Lord, how have you moved me? Now, this doesn't mean the sacraments don't move you, the scriptures don't move you. Of course, absolutely, there's a hierarchy. But is God bound there? He's waiting in the church no, God is flowing from this altar. God's life and love hit everything. Star Wars. I'm 10 years old and my heart is whoa. Huh? I saw E.T. and I cried. Like a baby. All 3 times. Every time. Why? I want you to ask yourselves, what moves me? What makes me weep? What makes me want to fight? What makes me laugh ridiculously? What is God doing, and where is He touching me? Huh? Any guesses? This is all my childhood. This is my life. Who is this pipe-smoking man?
Your dad.
I'm not going to look at that corner anymore. Are you familiar with these books? Anyone? Go to like the greatest book of the century by 5 separate polls, including Amazon. Just saying. Mock what you don't understand. So I'm a teenager. I'm actually 13 or so. I'm in my grandmother's cedar closet up on the 2nd floor, and I find these books. And I crack them open, and I see these maps of Middle Earth, and I start reading these stories, and I'm wrecked. God is speaking to me. What is He saying in all these different things? Come out of yourself. Come out of yourself. Go on a journey. You're made for more. There's a bigger picture. Anybody know who this is? And then we'll come back to the present. Van Morrison. There's a song on the Moondance album that I heard when I was 16 years old called Into the Mystic. It literally destroyed me. And I didn't know what the heck was going on. But it was this pull out of myself and into something infinite, into something mystic. It was God. He's always doing this. He's using anything and everything to get our hearts out of ourselves. Now, when I was younger, this whole thing, my parents divorced when I was 15. My father had a reversion to his faith. We were Sunday Catholics. But when my father had a reawakening, he took my brother and I to Fatima, Portugal, to the shrine of Our Lady of Fatima. We learned about miracles. It was incredible. I'm seeing like thousands and thousands of people in adoration and prayer, candlelight vigils. You could feel the peace in this little town of Fatima, Portugal. And I'm like 16. It was unbelievable. So I came back, and I remember Sundays going to church, and I would always know that my eyes should be up at the altar, and I was, like learning about God's presence in the Eucharist and all this stuff. But every Sunday, it's not really there. I Googled dark-haired girl. But every Sunday, I would feel this, like, the longing stir for God, and then I'd be like, and oh, the Sunday when she looked back at me, what the? Now, I don't know if you're going to think I'm like nerdy, but I never learned her name, and I'm cool with that. Like, the mystic, the symbol, the icon. P.S., like, in 2003, I married the dark-haired girl. It was Rebecca. That was Rebecca back then. It's Rebecca now. You follow me? But I was always drawn. I used to think, like, am I being distracted? God, I'm sorry, sorry. But then when you start to learn the way God works and speaks to our hearts and draws us, the beauty of another person is not a distraction, but an attraction. If we see rightly. Does that make sense? If we're literally made in the image of God, where's the image of God? Look around. Now, this takes a life of transformation and purification and a breaking free from the gravitational pull of lust and using people and addiction to sweet liberation, where every single person is not an occasion of sin, but an occasion of grace. So every person should be an occasion of grace, drawing us out of ourselves and into a relationship. This is a quote that I read in the Letter to Artists by Pope Benedict. And I'll send these to Father Matt. If they're fruitful for you or you want to take them to deeper prayer, I'll send them to him and you can go over it. But as a guy, like, we all have a different transcendental we're drawn to. The transcendentals are like truth, beauty, goodness, love, unity. They go back to the ancient Greeks. We're all kind of hardwired for one transcendental more than another. They all go together. Some of you are drawn to truth. Some, it's the good, it's goodness. Beauty has always been my transcendental. It's always been the thing that pulls me out. Pope Benedict said, authentic beauty unlocks the yearning of the human heart. The profound desire to know, to love, to go towards the other, to reach for the beyond. So I want to propose to you all tonight to ponder what moves me. What draws me? Yearning, ache, longing. Open those words up in your heart and in your prayer. C.S. Lewis loved a German translation of this word. Sehnsucht was the word he loved. C.S. Lewis. Sehnsucht means inconsolable ache or longing. And he said he felt it in the sound of geese overhead, in the smell of a bonfire, in water lapping up against the shore. It just pierced him and he couldn't really figure out why. But we know the Lord is present in all of his creation, so we know it's him like whispering, come, further out, further in. We want to know, love, go towards the other. This is life. This is human life. Movement, journey. Again, John Paul the Great, this is what he did as a young campus minister, as a young priest in Poland. He would go on these excursions. He would bring young people with him. Look at him just chillaxing in the grass right now. Some of these friendships went on for 50 years. And what he was doing there is forming, in the Polish word is środowisko, it means nest or culture. He knew that, where two or three are gathered, there I am in the midst of it. He knew that small groups, gatherings of people were very effective because you could have real FaceTime, real conversation. I mean, you're in a Newman Center that's like packed. This is awesome. And you have opportunities all the time where you can just go, just hang out, be present to each other. This is what you're doing. And it's life-giving. And you should talk about life. All manner of life. Bible studies are awesome. That brings us in close contact with the Word. But there are many other words that God is speaking to you that you can talk about. Great books, movies, experiences. Go on these expeditions, these hikes, these walks. All the time we should be open. This is a great word in one of the Gospels, ephatha. Be open. I want to encourage that too. Here's the beginning of a new school year. Some of you are freshmen. It's brand new. It's a fresh start. It's a reset. And you're not in high school anymore. This is a chance to reset. Maybe I was really shy. Maybe shut down in high school. So self-conscious. This thing. Oh man, there's another one. Everybody's looking at it. Right? Well, forget it. Open the heart. Experience something new. Try to be a little bit more vulnerable. Try to break out of your shell. Try to start a conversation with somebody. And don't think it's going to end awkwardly or whatever. Just start talking. Break out. Connect and form relationships. I got a real heady theological quote for you guys from a cardinal from the Vatican. Are you ready? I know that pasta was delicious. It can make you sleepy. But are you ready for this rich theological quote? Okay. Big thought, but simple point. He wrote it in a book for consecrated people called Contemplate. Okay. It is not the imposition of commands or constrictions that moves life forward. Nor is life moved forward by rules. Think about that, right? Because I said so. Because you're supposed to. Because it's the holy day of obligation, dang it. Right? Did you ever feel like, yes, my heart is so open to this thing, I'm going to do it because I want to. No, you're like, all right, I'll do it. Keep going here. Rather by an ecstasy, an enchantment, a rapture that leads us outside of the self, that starts us on a journey and interprets history, yours and the whole world, in a way that's relational, communal, and agapic. Okay, big word there. Does anybody have a clue? Agapic. Agape, what does it mean? It is divine, total, gratuitous, divine love pouring down. This is what life's about, right? This is why you get up in the morning. When I was a kid, breakfast cereal was like, I know breakfast cereal still is always awesome, right? But there was this Quaker Oats commercial with this old actor, Wilford Brimley. I don't know if you know this guy, he had like a huge mustache. And I remember seeing the Quaker Oats commercials. He'd be like, sit down at a breakfast table with his grandkids or something. Quaker Oats, it's the right thing to do. I was like, I want some Fruity Pebbles. I want some Lucky Charms. I want something that feels good. Not just because it's the right thing to do. I can't believe they made that commercial. Like anybody would buy Quaker Oats after watching that commercial. It's the right thing to do. Mustache was fun. We want to enter into somebody else's story. We want to connect. We want to be seen and to see.
don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion. Medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits necessary to sustain life. Poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. To quote from Whitman, "Oh me, oh life of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish. What good amid these, oh me, oh life? Answer, you are here, but life exists in identity. That the powerful play goes on, you may contribute a verse. That the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. What will your verse be?"
Isn't that cool? Anybody see that commercial? A couple years ago. Okay, I'm hammering in my point here that God speaks to us through beauty and through experience, and it sets us off on a journey, right? You can't feel like, after watching that, like, oh, I'll just sit here on my couch, I guess. I want to go learn French. I want to go visit Indonesia. I don't have any money, it's a whole other story. But the point is, it's like, go. Okay, so let's unpack this further. Here we are, in a crazy culture. Can somebody unpack this? What's going down in this image here? Picture's worth 1,000 words. Can you summarize this? What's going on? Yeah, fire away.
Technology consumes our life, and so we don't get to enjoy the things around us.
Oh. Tweet that, right? Technology like absorbs our entire life, and we miss the stuff like literally in the 12 feet around us. Okay, there's a difference between communication and communion, right? He's communicating. She's kind of in communion. Big difference. Now, granted, like maybe he's looking up the Bible readings on USCCB's Twitter page. I don't know. Maybe he's doing something really good. I don't know. Who am I to judge? But dude, you're holding her hand. Pay attention. So here's a spatial relationship: the scent of the blossoms, the tweet of the real bird. So one of the things we want to talk about, like the art of being human and the art of life and love, is in the presence of another human being. Put the phone down. We're all in this. Look, I'm using technology right now. Here's my iPhone, right? But when there's a person in front of you of infinite worth and value, with a rich tapestry of story and experience, they're much more interesting than this. Doesn't it drive you nuts sometimes when you're talking to somebody about your weekend and they're like, oh, awesome. What else? Oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, you just want to roundhouse kick the phone right out of their hand. Or you go to a restaurant and there's like, 5 people at a table all on their devices. It's family night at Friendly's. We experienced this like a couple years ago. There was a family of 5. Mom and dad were on their smartphones, 2 kids on iPads, and another kid was on another iPhone. I mean, they were very well behaved. While our kids were like throwing ketchup everywhere, and I was like, maybe I should get a bunch of smartphones. But like communion, FaceTime, presence, we're kind of losing that. Again, the technology is amazing, I use it all the time. But in the presence of another person. If you're going to go out to eat or go to a coffee shop or go for pizza or beer or whatever you're going to do, put all your phones in a stack in the middle of the table. First one who grabs for it pays for the whole meal. Do it. Okay, when you go out, everybody stack the smartphones. Whoever's the first to reach for it because they're addicted to it, Pavlovian response when they hear the ding, they have to pay for the whole meal. Just like, try it. In the interest of time, I'm going to skip this amazing video, but I will send it to Father Matt. Just in the interest of time. Okay? It's really good though. I'm not going to do it. Okay, I keep wanting to do it. I have lots of stuff. We'll go back to that video later. This is my daughter, Claire. I love all my kids. Claire has the deepest sense of wonder, I think. Claire, who just turned 8, is just like blown away by everything. So here she is drinking from the garden hose. This is old school, you guys. Remember the drinking from the garden hose? That mineral taste of the garden hose water. So awesome. Here's a word from the Catechism. As a being, this is all of us, at once body and spirit, man expresses and perceives spiritual realities through physical signs and symbols. Okay, we experience spiritual realities through the stuff that surrounds us. As Catholics, we know this, right? If we're Catholic, water, oil, bread, wine, the human body itself is a sacramental. And we experience God through it. There's an invitation not to see the world that surrounds us as solely raw material, right? Dead inert matter, with which we can do something, but to try to discover in it the Creator's handwriting. I'm talking about the ponderosa pine right out there, the stars, the clouds today, the feel of the sun on your flesh. If we pay attention, if our inner senses awaken and acquire perception of the deepest dimensions of reality, it's the wake up. This is the human Trinity. This is the way God designed it. I give you life as a gift. I want you to make your life a gift. So Adam becomes a gift for Eve. Eve receives the gift of Adam and gives it back. And 9 months later, they have to give him a name. So the earthly Trinity imaging God's Trinity. The key here is, as long as we have God as the sort of lens through which we look at each other, we're good. They use this word often as a kind of, way to remember things. Sign, S-I-G-N. Each and every one of us as a human being is a sign of God, a sign of the divine. Take the G in sign and for God and tear it out, and what's left? Sin. All sin, every sin we commit is removing God from the situation, cutting him out. And no longer, we don't see a gift anymore, but a person to be used, or a thing to be used. Now this image, let me go back to it real quick. This, of course, takes place in Genesis. So I was thinking as we were preparing, I want to talk about this word gender because it's getting a lot of press these days. We hear this word gender all the time. It's become a very hot button issue. I'm always fascinated by etymology, though. Like if you go into the meaning of words and try to find the root where they came from. So here's a thought for you. Our gender, as we just saw in the painting, came from Genesis, where God generated us so that we too could generate generously new generations. By the way, this happens through the mutual exchange of the genitals. I know you were thinking that, but you didn't want to say it out loud. Okay, is that amazing? Our gender came from Genesis, where God generated us so that we too could generate generously new generations. The Latin word gens means family, tribe, nation. So this is the meaning of gender. There's all kinds of stuff floating around on campus, I'm sure too, and in the culture at large. Just always go back to the root. Right? There's a lot of radical new ways of looking at human sexuality. The word radical comes from radix, which means root. So just listen and be attentive to all these things and learn and grow, but follow the root back to the beginning and ponder that. I think we kind of need to do that today. The birth of a human person can only happen when there are these complementary genders. It's the only way we come into the world. Pope Francis goes so far as to say that this communion of man and woman, this giving and receiving of the bodies, the sign of marriage, is the golden key. Here's his thought from last fall. The dynamics of the relationship between God, man and woman, and their children are the golden key to understand the world and history with all that they contain. I want to invite you all tonight, like this is a little 1 hour bit, not even zooming in on theology of the body in particular, but we're going to hopefully open the door then and keep going in small group studies and look at it. It's a golden key to understand so much of our own personal history, the history of culture in the world, and with all the hot button issues happening today, I'm telling you there's an antidote in the theology of the body. There's an answer to the ache of who am I, why am I here, and where am I going? And it's inscribed in our bodies. There's a meaning to the body. Golden key. Okay, final video, and I think that might be it. Then we'll open it up to questions and thoughts and comments. I'm going to share a video with you called Earth and Sky. It's riffing off this primordial relationship of man and woman that God designed in Genesis. Right? And it's a meditation on marriage, and you're going to see it spans the globe. It's all over the planet, so you'll have to read the subtitles. It's many different languages. Pay attention to the words, the images, and when it's over, we'll just do a little, Lectio Divina is like reading off of scripture. This will be Video Divina. So we'll do a Video Divina of like what has stirred in your heart, what questions or thoughts or comments.
ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة إن لباس لكم
وأنتم لباس لهن.
Των ιών αυτών ως νεόφυτα ελαιών κύκλο της τραπέζης αυτών.
Την κήτην αυτών ανεπιβούλευτον διατήρησον, υπερτουριστήν αυτούς δε και ημάς από πάσης θλίψεως, οργής, κινδύνου και ανάγκης.
Του Κυρίου δεηθών.
Dlatego opuści człowiek ojca swego i matkę i przyłączy się do żony swojej i będą dwoje jednym ciałem.
Tajemnica to wielka jest, lecz ja mówię o Chrystusie i o Kościele.
came from a meeting in Rome 4 years ago of 14 different religions from around the world who gathered at the Vatican. And for 3 days they talked about marriage, family, sexual complementarity. 14 different religions, scholars from all over the world. 3 days, called Humana, which means the human person. And these beautiful videos flowed from that gathering. The social media was very quiet on it. I thought it was amazing that 14 different religions from around the world gathered for 3 days to talk about it, but they didn't touch it for some reason. Has anyone seen this before or heard of Humana? Okay, well, I'll get the teaching videos to follow that. They're 15 minutes each, filmed just like that, pondering the meaning of life. Why are we here? Where are we going? Man, woman, marriage, and family. The great little spin-offs for small group reflection. Okay, so just again, tapping into what does it make you feel or think about? Video Divina. What's on your heart after looking and reading? Silence is a good response too. What is it stirring? Insights, questions, thoughts.
Go back to like that infinite beauty that you were talking about, and how it doesn't fill or replace that feeling inside you, but it fits.
That doesn't make sense. Let me repeat what you said. Going back to the infinite longing we talked about, this ache, it doesn't, like this, the beauty of marriage doesn't fill it, but it fits. Yeah, I think that's very well said. John Paul in Theology of the Body meditates on this sign of marriage. But he says, marriage isn't the end. It doesn't define us. We're made for something more. But the earthly sign of marriage, this union and communion that you see, and from which we all spring, it's pointing to a union and communion with God himself. And the best way to understand who God is and how he loves us is the sign of marriage. Scriptures are loaded with marital, spousal imagery. Jesus himself says he's the bridegroom. The prophets talk about God as the husband in our hearts. So yeah, earthly marriage can never fill, but it does in a certain sense fit. But every vocation has this. We don't have time to get into it right now. I'll have a part two. Go ahead, Wayne back.
Going off of that makes me think of the St. Augustine quote, our hearts are restless until they rest in you.
Yes.
This entire
Yes.
time.
Yes. St. Augustine, that's probably one of the most famous quotes outside of the Bible. St. Augustine, 1600 years ago, you've made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you. When you get that, you're like, I mean, it doesn't make the ache go away, but it sure brings a peace. Like, no, I can't possibly be satisfied. You know, I have a 15-year marriage now with Rebecca. We've been married 15 years last month. And we'll be the first to say, thanks for the claps. We're praying for 50 more years, at least. But we'll be the first to say, like, you don't complete me. No, that's not unromantic, as it might sound. But we're helpers. We're helpmates along the journey. If I start thinking that she's supposed to complete me and fill me, that's a lot of pressure for a human being to bear. So understanding that this ache that is in some sense quenched by human love, but not fully, that is pointing to something else, is a liberation. Why is there a 52% divorce rate in our world today? False infinities. I've fallen out of love with you, I'm going to look for somebody else. And the same thing happens again and again and again. So, theology of the body, this meditation on what it means to be human, where we've come from, where we're going, it can really ease the ache and redirect it. So I'm gonna leave resources from Father Matt and hopefully brainstorm and pray. And anyone who's really fired up about something here tonight, talk with him and we'll get the ball rolling. Keep going deeper. Thank you so much for having me.